Now that we have the string piecing done, and that is on the flip side of this foundation fabric, okay, we're going to turn it around, and this is why it matters that you do your string piecing on the opposite side of where the outline for the bib is. We're going to use the outline as our stitching guide. Do not cut this out until you stitch, okay? So you're going to lay your piece with the string quilting facing the fabric, or the backing fabric. In my case, I'm using a flannel. And as you can see, I didn't even cut it off the yardage because I don't want to waste any. So what I did was start over here. I back stitched because there's going to be a little stress on the opening. And then I followed the line all the way around, all the way, kept going. And you know, just go slow around the corners because you're going to need to pick your foot up and pivot the fabric, put the foot down, go a couple more stitches, repeat. There's just no way to just kind of go fast and make it around this corner. You really have to do it a couple stitches at a time, but you know, it's worth it when it turns out pretty, right? So anyway, we're going to keep stitching. We're going to go all the way back over here, and we're going to leave an opening. Ideally, if you leave yourself a 3 or a 4-inch opening, it makes it a little bit easier. I tend to push the envelope. I don't know, I get carried away. But I think here I only left myself, 2.5 inches maybe. So I may pull some of that out and restitch my back stitch. But anyway, so once you've gotten this far, what you're going to do is take your pinking scissors. Let me grab mine. Well, I can't find mine. Apparently I have taken them off to another spot to be used, which makes it rather inconvenient. Hold on. Oh, they weren't very far. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pinking scissors, and the reason we're going to use these because they are going to get rid of the stress in the fabric that's trying to go from a smaller location into a bigger location, or vice versa, all the way around. We've got that problem. The pinking scissor sort of takes care of clipping and notching for you. So if you don't have a pinking scissor, you're going to have to clip and notch in order, like here you would have to clip. Up here you're going to have to notch. Too much fabric trying to go into this space. Here it's a small distance and it's trying to get stretched into a bigger distance. That's what makes a pull. So if you do lots of little clips, you'll be fine. And here, if you do some good notching, you won't have big clumpy business going on in here when you come back to top stitch. Okay, and you can probably hear, I woke up with laryngitis yesterday, so my voice is kind of rough today, but here we go. And when in the opening area, I leave a big spot like that because we're going to have to close that, and it's just easier to get that to behave. Now I'm going to go real close without cutting my sewing, hopefully. You know what? If you accidentally cut your sewing, just put it back on the sewing machine and stitch it back up again. Nice thing about fabric compared to wood. Wood is not forgiving, but fabric is. I think people who've had bad experience with sewing bibs may have made the mistake of cutting the entire bib out, all of this, and then tried to sew them together. And I'm just going to tell you, it is very hard to get, you know, this one pre-cut to match up to another one pre-cut and cooperate, because this is a bias area here and it's going to stretch and not lay still. Now, when you leave it in here, the rest of the fabric stabilizes it. So it's just a world of difference doing it this way versus the other way. All right. Now this is where I really do want to try to be as close as I can, because this is on this kind of a curve. All this fabric is trying to tuck into the inside of that little bump out, you know, little tab. And when you don't do a good job around those corners, it gets really bulky and feels odd. You know, it's really difficult to top stitch on. And here, of course, I need to get close because that needs to have some good give to it when it tries to bend its way into the, or stretch when it's turned inside. Rare moment. I don't have an idea to share with you. Usually I've got all these tips that I like to share. But right now I'm running out of ideas. Kind of exciting because we have a luncheon coming up and looking forward to getting people from the various groups around town together. Some people have never met the others. And so I'm excited about that. All right, I'm almost all the way around. I will say that you're going to want to have a sharp pair of pinking shears. If you buy the Ginger brand and yours get dull, they will sharpen them for free for the rest of your life. So you can just drop them in the mail. You can find their address on the internet. And of course, you'll be without them until they mail them back. But this is a good reason to have two pairs. So Mother's Day is coming up. You can let your family know that's something you would like. It's a really good pair of pinking shears. Now I bought a Fisker brand, and they were great while they were sharp, but they can't be sharpened. So, you know, that was sort of a once and done. Well, not really once, but, you know, once I was having them be too dull, then I was done with them. So turn them into paper scissors, you know, in case you need a fancy edge. So you know what? I think I'll be able to actually use that little bitty hole. There have been times I've had that hole so small, I made so much more work for myself, thinking I was saving work by not having to, you know, stitch a bigger hole shut, which is silly because we're really going to stitch that hole shut when we top stitch. It's not an extra step. And that's the beauty of having that big tab there on the area where the hole is, because that'll tuck in really nice and easy. And now while I'm here, I'm going to take my little bamboo skewer. I said that kind of funny. Bamboo skewer. Tongue twister. And I'm going to get in here and just really sort of work. Sorry, I forget. It's hard to look at what I'm doing and the computer screen. So if I get off screen, hope you'll give me some grace. I'm still looking for a videographer. If you know anybody that loves to do that kind of work, I'm pretty sure those who have to watch our videos would be thankful. It was great when our grandson Noah did it, because he just was very intuitive. He knew when to get up and walk over and re-angle the camera, and did it without making people get dizzy. All right, now you see how easy that turned? That really was not hard work. And what I'm going to do is I will press this so that I've got really clean edges. I'll get this area tucked in really nice. Right now, obviously, it's not. And once I've pressed that, I'll be able to top stitch my way around with no problem. It's not going to give me any kind of grief. So that's it.